Genghis Khan, the monster made by betrayal history, remembers him as a conqueror, a unifier, the warlord who carved the world with fire, but buried beneath the bones of 1,000,000 soldiers, is a boy left to die, a child betrayed by his own blood. That was the moment Temujin died, and from his grave, Genghis Khan was born. His armies rode like storms across continents. His enemies said he was not a man, but a punishment sent by God. Cities were erased from maps, rivers ran red. Mothers told their children to whisper, lest the Khan's ears be near. But no empire rises without pain, and no monster is born without a wound. Today, we descend into the crypt of time to unlock the life of a man whose very name still carries terror. Not the polished legend, not the statue, but the broken, bitter child who came back with the fury of 1,000 horses. This is not a tale of glory. This is the origin of vengeance. And what happens when the world teaches you that mercy is weakness? ChronoCrypt presents Genghis Khan, the monster made by betrayal great. Let's continue. The boy called Temujin before he was Genghis Khan. He was Temujin, and before he conquered empires, he couldn't even feed his own brothers. The grasslands stretch like a green ocean, harsh, endless, and merciless. In a small nomadic tribe, a boy is born with a blood clot in his fist. A bad omen to some, but a prophecy to others. His name is Temujin, the son of a chieftain, but not yet a leader, not yet feared. His father, Yasuge, was a minor tribal chief with larger enemies and even larger ambitions. He believed his son was born to rule, but belief dies easily. One day, after arranging a marriage for young Temujin with the daughter of another clan, Yasuge is poisoned by rival Tartars. His body is dragged home, but his soul doesn't make it back. Temujin is just 9 years old, and leadership in the Mongolian steppe does not pass to children. The tribe turns their backs. His family, mother, brothers and sisters are abandoned, left with nothing. No food, no weapons, no protection. The very people who once bowed to his father now pretend the boy doesn't exist. He is no one's son now. Temujin family lives in the cold, eating roots, rats, and sometimes bark. His younger brothers cry at night, and when the hunger becomes unbearable, the brothers fight over scraps like animals. Temujin learns something important, not from books, not from warriors, from pain. No one is coming to save you. One day, in the middle of a famine, Temujin's older half-brother, Begda, hides food. Temujin finds out. The betrayal cuts deeper than the hunger. Temuj picks up a bow and kills his own brother. Not out of rage, but out of necessity. He will never be weak again. But fate isn't finished testing him at age 15. He's captured by a rival clan, the Temujin. They mock his lineage. They tie a wooden collar around his neck, branding him a prisoner. Every step is agony. Every breath, humiliation. He watches birds fly above and dreams of vengeance. One day, he whispers to himself, they will beg me to let them die. But Temujin escapes with the help of a kind guard, a rare act of mercy that he never forgets. It teaches him a dark lesson. Even cruelty has cracks, and in those cracks, a predator can rise. He returns to his mother, stronger, quieter, and colder. He begins to gather allies, not based on noble birth, but loyalty. A revolution built not by royal bloodlines, but by those who had suffered like him. This is how monsters are made. Not in palaces, but in the dirt, with blood in their mouths, and betrayal in their hearts. In the next chapter, Temujin becomes more than a survivor. He becomes a storm, great. Let's continue the cinematic journey into darkness. The rise from dust, the steppe does not forgive, and Temujin no longer asks for forgiveness. He returns, not as a boy, but as a hunter, no longer just feeding his family. Now, he's watching, studying every tribe that mocked him, every bloodline that laughed, every warrior who once turned away, is noted, and then, one by one, he begins to take them. Temujin doesn't rebuild his tribe. He redefines what a tribe is. No more loyalty by family, no more obedience by birth. He promotes warriors based on skill, loyalty, and discipline, not aristocracy. His camp is the only one on the steppe where a slave can rise, and a noble can fall. It terrifies the old world. He introduces laws strange to the tribal mind. No stealing from fellow warriors. No abducting women. No betrayal. Break them and die, no matter who you are. He is not building a tribe. He is building a machine. Vengeance comes first. The Teshid, who once collared and mocked him, are the first to fall. Temujin's riders strike at night. Swift, silent, brutal, they burn tents, scatter horses, and leave their leaders impaled on wooden spikes. Not for war, for message. You made me your prisoner. Now you will never be free. But vengeance demands more. There's another chieftain rising, a childhood blood brother of Temujin named Jamuka. Once they swore eternal loyalty. Once they hunted together, ate from the same fire. Now Jamuka sees Temujin's rise as a threat to tradition. Jamuka commands noble warriors. Temujin commands the outcasts. The battlefield is set, not between enemies, but between two futures. The Battle of the 13 Wings, 1187. Temujin's army outnumbers Jamuka's. But Jamuka's warriors are seasoned nobles, and they know the old ways of war. The battle is brutal. Horses are skewered. Arrows fall like rain. And in the chaos, Temujin's side collapses. Hundreds of his men are captured. Jamuka orders an execution unlike anything the steppe has seen. 70 young men are boiled alive. Their screams echo across the mountains. It's not justice, it's a warning. Temujin watches from the shadows, not with tears, but with silence. He disappears. But in silence, he sharpens. He begins whispering to other tribes. The nobles will never let you rise, but I will. The wolf returns. In 1201, Temujin re-emerges. This time, with a force so unified, so disciplined, so fanatical, that they begin to look less like warriors, and more like a single mind riding on 1,000 horses. Jamuka challenges him again. But this time, Temujin doesn't just fight. He unleashes terror. Jamuka's army is destroyed. The nobles who followed him are captured and executed by having their backs broken. Temujin doesn't boil men alive. He breaks them from the spine down, letting them live long enough to feel every second. Mercy, he had learned, is for men who don't remember the cold, and Temujin had never forgotten the cold. The tribes begin to kneel, not out of love, but out of fear. In 1206, on the banks of the Annan River, a great council is held. Thousands gather, warriors, lords, shamans. Temujin is declared Genghis Khan, supreme ruler of all who live in felt tents. The name itself has no mercy in it. Not king, not prince, but Khan, one who takes, one who rules, one who is not questioned. The boy they left to die in hunger now commanded the sky. But for Genghis Khan, this was not the end. This was only the beginning. His empire was not yet an empire. His enemies were not yet finished, and his wrath had not yet truly begun. In the next chapter, Genghis turns his eye to the world. What he does to the cities of Central Asia will shock even his own men. Death march of empires, he had conquered the steppe. But Genghis Khan did not dream of Mongol glory. He dreamed of erasing empires. 1219 AD. The Silk Road is burning. To the west lies a kingdom, Khwarezmia, a Persian Muslim empire of scholars, trade, and walled cities. Its rulers wear silk. Its markets overflow with gold and grain. Its armies are vast, but arrogant. Genghis sends envoys, diplomatic, peaceful. He doesn't want war. Not yet. But the Shah of Khwarezmia makes a mistake, one that turns a conqueror into a reaper. He kills Genghis's ambassadors, beheads them, melts gold and pours it down a Mongol's throat. An insult, an unforgivable one. Genghis Khan does not respond with letters. He responds with fire. The wrath begins from the east. Genghis leads 200,000 warriors across the desert. No nation had ever seen a force this mobile. This merciless dart, they travel with no supply lines, hunting as they ride. Feeding on blood if water runs low. They cross rivers with rafts made of horse hides, carrying their arrows dry and their rage intact. The first city falls in days, the second in hours, the third is given a message. Surrender, and we may spare your children. Resist, and we will turn your bones into dust. They resist. Their bones are turned into dust. The fall of Otrar, the city where Genghis's envoys were murdered. Otrar, he does not just conquer it. He executes 20,000 citizens, slaughters the nobility, and captures the governor responsible. And what of him? Genghis pours molten silver into his eyes and ears. For every drop of Mongol blood spilled, he demands a river of vengeance. Samarkand, the city of blue domes, the jewel of the region, Samarkand is protected by walls, archers, and war. Elephants, the people feel safe. But the walls do not stop the Mongols. They launch flaming corpses over the walls using catapults. Plague spreads. Panic erupts. The elephants are driven mad by fire and trample their own men. Samarkand falls in 5 days. Tens of thousands are killed. Those who surrender are used as human shields in the next siege. Strategy of Horribut. Here lies the genius. Genghis doesn't just destroy cities. He weaponizes fear. He lets a few survivors escape, on purpose. Why? To carry tales of horror, so that the next city, when the hooves are heard in the distance, surrenders without a fight. It wasn't just an army, it was a story told in blood. Nishaper, the poet's revenge, one of Genghis's favorite grandsons, is killed during a minor revolt in the city of Nishaper. Genghis doesn't just retaliate, he gives the city to the boy's grieving mother, and tells her, do what you must. She orders every man, woman, and child slaughtered. Over 100,000 corpses. The Mongols then pile their skulls into pyramids at the city gates. No place too sacred, they do not spare mosques. They do not spare libraries. Entire volumes of ancient knowledge are burned or trampled beneath hooves. Cities that once stood for 1,000 years are wiped out in a single week. But it isn't chaos, it's controlled. Destruction to build a new world, Genghis knew. He had to end the old one. The world watches in terror-Christian Europe hears whispers of a rider from the east. A devil on horseback. Muslim scholars weep for the loss of cities like Bukhara, where Genghis Khan enters the mosque and declares, "I am the punishment of God. Had you not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me." He does not conquer land. He conquers time by 1221. Genghis Khan had done the unthinkable. He had wiped kingdoms from maps, turned rivers red, and rewritten the rules of warfare. And yet, he was not done. There was one more empire to shake, and one final act that would turn him from legend into something else entirely. Absolutely. Let's bring the storm to its chilling end. The death that vanished in life. He built the largest land empire the world had ever seen, but in death, he became a ghost. 1227. Somewhere in the Shire frontier, he had conquered China, Persia, Korea. No enemy could stand against him. No army could outmaneuver him. But there was one battle he could not win. Time, Genghis. Khan was now in his 60s, old by steppe standards. But his fury hadn't faded. He was on campaign again, this time against the Western Shire. The reason? They had refused to send troops for his previous conquest. That was enough for him to demand extinction. The final ride as the campaign unfolds. He falls from his horse. Or perhaps he is wounded in battle. Or maybe he is assassinated, the truth. No one knows, because his death is covered in more mystery than his conquests. His commanders kept it secret. If word got out that the great Khan was dead, the empire could fall apart. So they tell no one. They fight in silence and continue slaughtering cities even as their master's body lies wrapped in a felt shroud. A funeral like no other once the Western Shia are obliterated, and they are completely. Genghis Khan's body is finally returned to Mongolia, but not to a tomb, not to a monument, to secrecy. The funeral procession kills everyone it passes to hide the route. Every villager, every merchant, every stray traveler. Then the soldiers who buried him, they are executed. Then the men who executed them, also killed. It is said, the soil above his grave was trampled by 1,000 horses to erase all traces. Some say a river was diverted to flood the tomb. Others whisper that a deadly curse now guards it. No marker, no stone, no script, no bones. Where is Genghis Khan? To this day, his grave has never been found, and not for lack of trying. Historians, adventurers, satellites, all have failed. Every clue leads to dust. Every theory to silence. Some believe he is buried beneath the Khenti Mountains, the sacred homeland. Others say his tomb lies beneath Lake Issyk, hidden underwater. And some Mongols still believe, if you find the tomb, the world will bleed again. The curse of the Khan after his death. His children carried out his legacy, some with loyalty, others with madness. His grandson Kublai Khan ruled China as emperor. His other descendants swept into Russia, Poland, Hungary, burning, raping, conquering. The death toll. Historians estimate 40 to 60 million people died during the Mongol invasions. That's 1 out of every 10 people. On Earth at the time, he died in 1227, but his shadow never did. Every dictator since has studied him. Every warlord has envied him, and every ghost story that whispers of riders in the dark echoes his legacy. He was a father, a killer, a liberator, a destroyer. He unified warring tribes, then shattered the world beyond them. He built a new order from chaos, not through diplomacy, but through the weaponization of fear. No statue stands where he was buried. no one can offer flowers at his tomb. And perhaps that is fitting, because Genghis Khan was not meant to rest. He was meant to haunt. Thank you for entering the shadows of history. With ChronoCrypt, like, subscribe, and remember, the past isn't dead, it's waiting.